Hello everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. Happy Friday to you and your family. Hope you have an amazing day. We're going to take a look here at Bitcoin, of course. Just a quick update, kind of see what's going on, leading into the weekend. Today being the last, traditional trading day of the week. I'd like to kind of see where we're going to head here next. Now, something to kind of preface with, there are some options. I think it's open interest expiration is set for today. So we could experience some volatility here today. That's pretty standard for a Friday as well. So far, it seems pretty calm, but it does feel like we're going to see either a dramatic increase or decrease. If we were to see that, keep that in mind. It could be a bull trap if the price comes up, and obviously the price comes down. That's kind of what we're still expecting. Now, here in this sense right now, we do have a descending type of trend, so we're testing that, kind of breaking above, but it's still tentative for the moment. I would wait for the one-day candlestick to close today before we have any confirmation. Ultimately, that's kind of what we're looking at there. So if you're new to the channel, not a financial advisor, right? I just love teaching people to trade. Hope you can learn something here today. We're going to go ahead and look at a good handful of things, of course, but a lot of subscribers are coming over to my signal group, my community, and more importantly, just to kind of learn from my academy, because right now is the best time to teach yourself to be a better trader. So check that out in your own time. Again, CryptoCache.tech is a site. Link in the description below. I have third world country discounts and military as well. Thank you very much for your service. Take a look here at Bitcoin. So here's kind of where we're at. On the daily, pretty straightforward. We're kind of at a potential doji candle here so far. It's too early to tell, but you can kind of tell that the price action is kind of just hanging out between 20,700 and 21,400. So it's a pretty small range, all things considered, and those ranges are kind of getting narrower, so to speak. So I do think that we're probably likely going to see a period like this before we see a significant breakout. Okay. In other words, it could go either way, but it would make the most sense that the price kind of consolidates in this channel here and then inevitably breaks to the upside once we get a break above that actual descending channel. And what that would do is that inevitably put us right above the 50-day SMA too, because the 50 is working its way down slowly. All right. So we're naturally going to get there, but I wouldn't expect any dramatic types of moves in the immediate near future, minus today perhaps with some volatility if there is, those open interest expirations that are occurring here. So keep in mind there's a lot of things that could factor in, but for the most part it's looking pretty good in the sense of going sideways. 20,000 holding as a strong support level, and the simple fact of the matter is that we shouldn't expect the price to drop immediately, but if it were to, I would say 14,000 is a pretty likely target, and it seems very, I think we're going to at least see a retest of that level. Okay, and if nothing else, at least kind of here in the 17,000 range. So I think that's inevitable, but I do also feel that right now the price has to kind of average itself out sideways for a little while before it legs down or up again. Okay. All right, so again, just kind of some standard stuff there. Looking at the 30 on the RSI, though, this is nice. We're back up above it, so it does kind of imply we're above a support level now. And in most cases, if you look at Bitcoin's history, when the price action comes below 30 on the RSI, of course, and it comes back up above, it stays above for some time. Now, granted, it really depends on the circumstance. There's a lot of different situations involved. But if you can tell, anytime the price comes under 30 on the RSI, it'll come back up. That doesn't mean the price isn't going to come back down. It just implies that we're going to take some time to get closer to 50 on the RSI, perhaps reject to the downside. That's basically what happened here last time. If you look at this, price went under 30 on the RSI for about a week, roughly about the same experience we had recently. The price action went sideways for some time, and we are also experiencing very similar behavior. But what's interesting is the price comes up to 50 on the RSI, rejects once and twice right here at about 32,000 and comes down. So hypothetically, the price continues sideways. The RSI naturally works its way up based on the relative strength of the last 14 trading days, being averaged, higher, so to speak. Then at that point, that would be a point in which we'd want to pay close attention to see how the price action responds to that level. Okay. In other words, that will probably put us really close to about 24,000 if we're inevitably up above or in that area. But cool thing is, if it takes 2 or 3 weeks to get there, the 50-day SMA will effectively be averaging itself out there as well, and we can test that to see if we can break through it and to pass through this descending type of pattern that we've had for quite a few months now. Ever since March, we've had a just continuous downtrend. Obviously, the prior, back in November, we saw a downtrend too, but this more recent one where we got capped out at 48,000 and dropped like a rock, that's essentially where we're at right now. Okay, so to break this current trend, we need to get back up over the 50-day SMA. We have a convergence on the MACD potentially forming here. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be like a strong green weekend, but it does imply that we might have more potential to the upside than downside because of the fact that the bears have lost control. Of course, in the last 7 days, they haven't been able to bring the price action down any further, and there's more buying pressure at this level. Big surprise, 20,000 is a strong amount of buying pressure. So let's take a look here just really quick at the volume, see where we're at. And obviously see again, you kind of see a trend here. The price action goes sideways for some time. That was roughly, what, is that about a month? Yeah, it's roughly 1 month of sideways action. And we had a lot of volume in that area. We're starting to get a lot more volume right now at about 21,000, which is good. That's kind of right where the price is supporting. But just keep in mind, we've only been at this price point for 1 week. So with this amount of volume after just 1 week, that's a pretty big sign, kind of letting us know there's more buying pressure here than there was at 30,000. That's a good sign to me. I think that's ultimately going to help us out in the big picture. And if you take a look at the volume, even though it is tapering off, so to speak, it's still looking very strong. In other words, we can totally see how high the volume is overall here in this sense. If you compare it to the last month that we had just sideways action, okay? So that increase in volume being consistent, more consistent than in the past, tells me that we're getting closer to the bottom, all right? So again, just something to kind of throw out there. So again, we do have typical conflicting information here. We got some moving averages and things of that sort telling us that the price action is probably going to continue lower eventually. But for now, the likelihood of an upside, I think, is higher. So that's kind of where we're at here for the moment. All right, so that's kind of what we're looking at there in that sense. So that's kind of where we're at on the, let's take a look at the 4 hour. We can see we're up over 50 on the RSI, but that doesn't matter too much, honestly, because of the fact that we've been kind of just sideways in that range, kind of stuck on, I wouldn't say stupid, but we're stuck in this range of 20 to 24,000, and until we can break above or below, we're gonna probably be kind of hanging out closer to 50 on the RSI here. So that isn't super relevant, and in most cases it usually is, but when you have sideways action in like specific areas, it doesn't really help us too much. Looking at the 1 hour, we can kind of identify that we are above the cloud now. This is a good sign in most cases. We're above the cloud. We're kind of breaking above this little descending type of pattern, this more recent pattern that we have within the last 7 days. And the conversion line's above the baseline. The only thing I don't love is the fact that the lagging span is going to soon interject or basically connect with the price action. And when it does, that intersection essentially tells you that you have a long position. You may want to consider closing it because there's a potential for a turnaround. Again, very conservative indicator. You don't have to do that per se. It's telling us here that we're kind of losing that momentum. And in order for us to see a continuation of the upside, we need, obviously, for the price action to go higher. And it needs to happen pretty soon, too. Anyways, that's not a problem per se. Just don't want to concern you with that specifically. Take a look at the hourly, though. We don't really have too much to extract here, except for the fact that we came up to an 8, got to reset down to a 3, back up to a 5. So we're kind of just stuck in this little, once again, today's daily candle of 20,700 upwards of 20,400. Or sorry, 21.4 down as low as 20.7. So that's kind of where we're at here overall. So I mean, honestly, in the big picture, I would say in general, we might experience maybe if we have a doji candle and or higher today, then we'd look to be in pretty good shape, especially if we can close closer to 21,500. Like if we get up above or closer to 21.7, we'll be in really good shape going into the weekend, probably have a green weekend. But if today we can't, we close our candlestick a lot lower than where we're at right now, in the 20,000 range, the low to mid 20,000, then I think it's more likely we're going to see a downside this weekend. So honestly, at this point, we can't say specifically what's going to occur, or it kind of almost feels like we're at this 50-50 mark. And with all these options expiring today, that leads me to believe that we're going to see some volatility near the end of the trading day. Okay, so just be cautious and careful between now and 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, whatever time that is for you, and just be very cautious and make sure that you're not just jumping right in with some crazy leverage positions. Again, position size effectively. Use small position sizes if at all possible, and make sure that you are always working within your risk tolerance. Again, those are things I teach in my Trading Academy, and I love to kind of reiterate that here in my videos to help you understand that it's important to have a good, healthy body and a healthy mind. Never trade when you're upset. Again, I cover all that stuff, of course. Check that out in your own time. But for the moment, I think Bitcoin is looking like it wants to continue to progress higher. It's giving us, I would say, generally slightly more signs that it wants to continue upwards. But again, without a full candlestick close here today, there's no true indication of what that's going to entail. But I do like, and just to touch on this here, I do like the fact that we have a nice strong support at 20,000. Yes, we wicked down here and closed below 20,000 at one point, but we didn't spend much time down below that. The fact that we've came back down to kind of retest that level twice is a good sign that it's going to hold and there's more volume at that price point. That to me is a positive thing. So I think in general, we're looking very good for more so an upside push versus downside, but just don't be surprised if the price turns itself around this weekend. You know, a lot of profits are taken specifically near the end of the trading day, more so today likely than this weekend, but last weekend was a firm indication of just how crazy a weekend can be. We saw the most amount of volume in last weekend that we have seen in years. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see another interesting behavior later this weekend. So either way, take what you will from this. Thanks again for joining me here. Hope you learned something here today. We look forward to seeing the next one. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks again for your time.